All right, today we are diving deep into one of the most critical documents in all of clinical research, the Data Management Plan, or DMP for short. Now, whether you're totally new to this world, prepping for a big job interview, or you just need a quick, solid refresher, you are in the right place. So just picture this for a second. You've got a massive clinical trial happening. We're talking thousands of patients, spread across dozens of countries, all generating this flood of data for a potentially life-saving new drug. How in the world do you handle that tidal wave of information? How do you make sure every last data point is captured, cleaned, and stored perfectly? Well, that is the exact problem a DMP is designed to solve. It's the playbook that turns all that potential chaos into clean, reliable, high-quality data. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the basics, what a DMP actually is. Then we'll get into why it's so incredibly important. We'll look at the team that puts it all together, and then we'll peek inside to see its key parts. And to wrap it all up, we'll follow the journey of the data from beginning to end, all guided by this one powerful document.
So let's get right to it. What exactly is a data management plan? Well, the easiest way to think about it is as the study's official rulebook for anything and everything that has to do with data.
Here's the official definition from the Society for Clinical Data Management, and I want you to zero in on that key phrase, roadmap. That's so important because a DMP isn't just some static checklist. It's a living guide that shows the entire team how to navigate the data journey step by step, especially when, things don't go exactly as planned. To make it even simpler, if there's one idea you take away today, let it be this. The DMP is the blueprint. You would never, ever build a skyscraper without a detailed architectural plan, right? Well, in the exact same way, you can't run a clinical trial without a DMP. It's what ensures that the final product, that super valuable clinical database, is solid, trustworthy, and built to precise specifications. So where does this blueprint fit in the grand scheme of things? It's a really logical flow. It starts with a study protocol. The protocol tells us what scientific questions we're trying to answer and what data we need to collect. Then the DMP comes in and translates that into how we're going to collect, manage, and protect every single piece of that data. It's the essential bridge between the scientific idea and the real-world action. Which leads us to a really important question. Why does this one document matter so much? Isn't it just paperwork? No way. A DMP is so much more than that. It has a huge, direct impact on the integrity and the ultimate success of the entire study. Its importance really boils down to these four pillars. First and foremost, it ensures data quality and integrity. That's the bedrock of everything. Without it, the results are meaningless. Second, it guarantees that you're following the rules, complying with regulations like good clinical practice. Third, it's a huge risk management tool. It forces you to think ahead and plan for problems before they happen. And last, but absolutely not least, it spells out exactly how you're going to protect patient privacy, which is a massive ethical and legal responsibility. Okay, so who are the masterminds behind this vital blueprint? Well, it's definitely not a one-person show. Building a truly great DMP takes a whole team. It's a real collaborative effort. Right at the heart of it all is the Clinical Data Manager, or the CDM. You can think of them as the lead architect and the project manager all rolled into one. They're the ones leading the charge, pulling in feedback and expertise from all the different parts of the study team to make sure that blueprint is rock solid. And here you can see that team effort in action. You've got biostatisticians weighing in on how the data needs to be structured for analysis. You have the clinical team on the ground making sure the plan is actually practical. The medical monitors are focused on patient safety, regulatory folks are ensuring compliance, and of course, the sponsor has to give the final approval. You need every single one of these perspectives to create a plan that works in the real world. Okay, so we know what it is, why it matters, and who writes it. Now let's pop the hood and take a look at what's actually inside the blueprint. We can break down the contents by looking at the three main phases of any clinical study. This table gives us a fantastic bird's eye view. During study setup, it's all about building the foundation. The DMP specifies exactly how the data forms will be designed and how the system will be programmed to automatically catch errors. Then, during the active study conduct phase, the DMP is the day-to-day guide for things like the data cleaning strategy and, critically, the plan for reconciling serious adverse events. That's making sure all your safety data is perfectly aligned. And finally, for study closeout, it details the final steps, from the procedures for locking the database to the plan for archiving everything long-term. And that leads us perfectly into our final section, looking at the data lifecycle itself. Let's follow a single piece of data on its journey through the trial, seeing how the DMP guides it every single step of the way. So just as we saw on the table, the data's journey follows these three distinct phases: setup, conduct, and closeout. Now let's dig into what's actually happening in each of these phases, all based on the instructions laid out in the DMP. So phase 1, study setup, is all about laying the groundwork. This is where we build the entire system for data collection before a single patient is even enrolled in the study. It's all preparation. During setup, the team is basically in construction mode. They're designing the case report forms, or CRFs, that the sites will use. They build the database, and then they test it and validate it to make sure it's secure and works perfectly. They program all those automatic error checks we talked about, and so importantly, they train every single person involved. It's all about building that solid foundation before the data starts pouring in.
Next up, we hit study conduct. This is the main event, the active phase of the trial. Data is now flowing in from all over the world, and it has to be managed in real time, day in and day out. Now, all those rules in the DMP are in full swing. Data gets entered and validated. When the system flags a potential error, what we call a discrepancy, the DMP outlines the precise process for investigating and fixing it. The plan also dictates how to reconcile that critical safety data and how to apply standardized medical codes, which turns doctors' notes into consistent data that can actually be analyzed.
And finally, we arrive at the finish line, study closeout. This is the phase where we finalize the entire data set, lock it down so it can't be changed, and get it ready for final analysis and secure storage. The DMP acts as the final checklist here. The team does one last round of data reviews and checks all the signatures. And then comes the big moment, the database lock. This is the point of no return where no more changes can be made. After that, all the data and study documents are securely archived exactly as planned, preserving the integrity of that trial for decades to come. So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? The data management plan isn't just another document. It is the study's single source of truth. It's the blueprint, it's the roadmap, it's the rulebook that ensures data integrity from the very first piece of information collected all the way to that final study report. And that wraps up our deep dive into the data management plan. So the question I'll leave you with is this. Now that you have the blueprint, how are you going to use it? How will you make sure there's a quality build in your next project? Or maybe use this knowledge to nail that next interview? Thanks for tuning in.